Robbie Lawler. I live with HIV, and I've been living with HIV since I was 21. And yeah, I'm here today, a very, very special day, to commemorate World AIDS Day. And it's so important because 37 million people have died of AIDS around the world, and thousands have died of AIDS in this country. But the great thing about World AIDS Day, it reminds me of Pride a little bit, because we do commemorate those before us, but what we do is we celebrate where we are today. And medically, we are very far. I say we live in the golden era of HIV. We don't have to be in a closet anymore. We're going to change this country for the thousands of us living with HIV out there. We're taking a stand. And we're going to do that through the power of story.
I was diagnosed with HIV in 2013 in Venezuela, the country where I'm from. And I moved to Ireland the same year. And I felt disgusted at myself. I felt very sad. And it was only until a year or maybe 2 years ago that I stopped feeling that way. It doesn't really matter. But what it matters is the reality that would have happened to me and the reality that is happening to so many Venezuelans right now in a country where the government hasn't spent money in medications since 2016. So there is a 58% shortages of medication in the whole country. This is happening today. This is happening right now.
My name is Eva Jane, and I'm going to be reading a testimony from someone who can't be here today. Sharing my status. When I was newly diagnosed, and for a few years after, I wished I had the courage to go on TV, be public with my diagnosis. But the world is a cruel place. Now, 7 years on this December since I was diagnosed, I have come to realise I don't lack courage just because I'm not public. Some of the greatest moments of courage are done under the radar. I've fought discrimination from hospitals, etc., quietly, but I don't think these battles are less because the world doesn't know of them. I'm sure they've had huge impacts.
I support people that are living with HIV in the Midwest region. I'm going to highlight a few things about migrants living here in Ireland, living with HIV. There's a lot of discrimination and stigma surrounding HIV, especially for migrant people. How can we overcome this? There's only one word: empowering these women or empowering these migrants. Because if they're not empowered, they're not going to be able to come out. I have one sentence that I normally use, and it says, when the invisible are amongst the visible, they also become visible.
My name is Connor Anderson. I was diagnosed with HIV when I was 21 years old. The medications that keep me alive were fought and died for. And it's important to remember when we talk about the change in how HIV is managed and how people who live with HIV today are treated. When it comes to HIV, the change is from concerted, organized, direct action by the people most affected by the AIDS crisis and our closest allies.
It's such a privilege to be here celebrating World AIDS Day with so many new wonderful friends. I have 3 important messages from the U equals U universe that I want to give to you equals you all. Number 1, U equals you, undetectable equals untransmittable. Never stop saying it. I want us to talk about it until we actually bore people to death with it. Number 2, I want to say thank you to all the activists around the world who dedicated their lives to forcing governments into putting money into AIDS research and medications, which are at the core of the very vaccine that is currently keeping us all alive on this planet. I want to say thank you to all the HIV IPs out there. That's everyone living with HIV. Every single one of us is very important to each other. Those of us in a privileged position where we can share our stories are no more important than those who can't or choose not to. I love you all.
My name is Eric, and I was born in Venezuela. I was diagnosed positive when I was 19. And what I really want to share with you is this decision that I made recently in my life. That when I say this to people, I say it holding my head high. Because what's in my experience, looking back at my actions in my life, I could be talking about whatever, and then when I mentioned the positive part, I looked down. And I looked down because I felt shame. One of the things that I decided to do was to be open about being positive. So I disclosed this information to my friends, people around me. I put it on my dating apps plural. For you out there, if you're positive and if you're saying it to somebody, don't look down, look at them in the eye, and if you say you're undetectable, that's it, that's who you are.
My name is Luke. I have been HIV positive since I was 18, and obviously I was quite lucky because I had access to meds like so many people didn't when they were diagnosed. But the only thing I had to really worry about was my own internal shame that came with that. But it's opportunities like this to just be able to go up and share my story with people like you is really helpful for me. So I thank you for that.
What I've learned since I come to Ireland, that everything is happening, everything is possible in this country. I met my beautiful husband, Kieran, that is just standing there. We're now married. We got married after the marriage referendum. If you're living with HIV today and you don't feel comfortable to say, just think about this. The world is not going to change, but your own world will change. And I'm pretty 100% sure of this.
As we wrap up, let's just remember that although we've come far medically in Ireland, we have so much to do. And not everyone's doing it for us, but every single one here, if we can make a little bit of a difference, it'll mean the world to so many of us around this country. Thank you so much to all our lovely speakers today. Thank you very much.